Hi everyone, welcome to the second video in this little mini two-part series from, this is Little Worlds by Gabi Wolf. Sorry, we're leaning on another book because we're quite near the front. I need something to lean on. And we are doing these little mushrooms from the copyright page. I just thought it might be useful just to show you some different ways to colour mushrooms. So yesterday we did this sort of bog standard orangey red one. We did a glowing one. We did a sort of purple and pink one. And we've got a couple more to do. I thought I could show you how to do a sort of bronzy looking one today. Now it's a little bit adventurous with this set of Amazon Basics pencils, but we'll see how we go. I've never tried this before, so I thought it just might be a little bit interesting. So what I would do with the bronze is to start off with a dark brown. I think the vandyke brown in this set is probably the best. It's slightly more orangey than the dark chocolate brown, only slightly, and I think it will just work better. So this is a vandyke brown, but any dark brown would work. Now, what I've got to decide with this mushroom is, am I going to go make the lighter bit in the centre or at the top or across down the middle? Now what I think is, because it's a round, I'm going to colour it like it's a sphere and make it lightest in the middle. So I'm going to go all the way around the edge with my vandyke brown, and I'm just going to put a layer. But can you see that I'm working backwards and forwards a little bit, because I'm wanting to make sure that it's quite a thick dark layer on our edge. Yeah. And then I'm going to do a second layer, but lighter and slightly scumbly. So you see I'm doing this sort of circular motion. What that actually does is it leaves some white paper behind. Can you see there's, maybe you can, maybe you can't. And that means that when I put my next colour on top, which is a bit lighter, there's space for it to sort of nestle amongst this colour, and it will help it to blend together. And because pencils I tend to use mostly are polychromos and they don't truly blend, I'm just choosing my next colour. I think I'm going to go to burnt sienna next. So we've got a sort of orangey brown colour. Now to sharpen it. Now what I'm going to do here is, like with the others, if you watched yesterday's video, you may not have done. If you didn't, then I'll explain it again anyway. I won't go right to the edge. Where I did that really defined line, I want that to be really defined. So I'm only going to take this colour over the top of that scumbly layer and then scumble it myself in and fade it in like that. Now, as we have before, we're avoiding the little circular pieces. We're going to do those a mystery colour after. I haven't decided yet. That's why it's a mystery. It's a mystery to me. Like that. And we're just working our way around the circle, trying to make the thickness of the amount of colour, you know, from here to here, about the same all the way around. It's not an exact science, because this is an imitation of nature-ish. And nature doesn't work, you know, it doesn't have rules, so we can make it slightly off. This is burnt ochre and it shouldn't look odd, but you know, I try and get it as close as I can. This is only very slightly lighter, so I'm not going to put down so much of it so it's not so intense, and hopefully then it will look like we're fading, because we want to get a lighter colour towards the centre to give that bronzy look. Sorry, no talk as I'm concentrating. It's getting a bit detailed in here, isn't it? I'm just trying to decide how much to put down, but I think I'm happy with that. Now our last layer will be more yellowy to bring out the glowing look that I think we need for our bronze, but we can go with the light ochre. This sort of looks quite orangey to my eye as well, but on the swatch it's not quite so much, it is more ochre-y. Now my aim here is to leave a little bit of white in the middle, probably just there, above that circle. And I'm going to go over everything with this because it will help to blend it, brighten it, lighten it, just make it look more metallic. Now I know this isn't a metal object, but I think to get that imitation bronzy colour, we can colour it just as if it was. And I'm going in towards the middle, more gentle layers like that, and leaving this little white bit like I said I was going to. Now I feel that isn't quite as glowy as I'd hoped, so I'm actually going to grab the yellow, which is the yellow, here it is, and just go over it all with this yellow because it's a much brighter colour, and I think that will help us to make it our eyes will feel it's glowy. Oops, like the last colour, I'm going over everything. We may find there's not much tooth left in the paper in places where we've layered up because the Amazon paper isn't particularly thick, but I think it'll be enough to just give us a little bit more glow. Now you can, when you're doing a bronze, make it more coppery, add a bit of orange, but I think that's okay like that. Let me just finish there. Okay, now these spots, they're worrying me a bit. I don't really know what to do with them. I've got too many. They don't appear on every mushroom, so I get a little bit confused. What I think I'll do is make them dark. I might go with the brick red, actually. Here's the brick red. I need to sharpen it. Should we make them? We made them shiny on this one. We've made them look 3D. We've done. What should we do with these? I'm just going to start colouring them. I might just fade them to the top like we did with yesterday's. So a bit darker at the bottom. And this is this is the way you can make them look a little bit more 3D, but maybe you won't use any white. There we go. Now I'm trying to decide about the base. I do like a grey base, as you can tell, but I'm thinking what I might do is put a little layer of our vandyke brown on some of it. Now this is a very intensely dark colour, as you can see around here, so we don't want to press very hard, so I'm just going to put a layer like that. I'm going to put a little bit more on this bottom bit because we want that darker, and then fading to lighter like this, and a bit of shadow under there. But I'm going to then use a grey. I'm going to use the warm grey. We've only got 3 greys, so we've got a blue grey, a cold grey and a warm grey, the cold grey being called silver grey. So we don't have a lot of choice. I'm going to do this bottom one first. I'm just going to go over this with the grey, and we'll be able to see the brown colour through, so it'll look a bit more browny than this one, which we also did in the warm grey. But we're just combining, taking the colour from up here. Now this skirty bit, maybe I will just put in those lines and a shadow from underneath this mushroom, and I'm going to emphasise that shadow under there a little bit more. There we are. Now I put white on every one, so I feel like I should, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put the white on here and here. Oh, there we go. Actually, I might put a bit here too. There. Okay. Now our last mushroom I feel would be nice in a blue colour. Or I had thought about doing a shiny pink one, but I don't think I really have the right colours for that. And we got pink in this one as well, so I thought I'd do one that was blue. I know we've got a bit of blue there, but it's more turquoise. So I'm thinking, I'm just looking at my blues and I'm feeling a bit confused. The ultramarine is a purple. The cobalt blue, the blue, yeah, I think I'm going to have to, I'm trying to work out what we've got that goes with what. There's quite a lot of blues. We haven't done a green one. I guess that's green, isn't it? So I'm going to start with the blue. And this isn't really dark. Now, how are we going to do this? So this one's dark sides and lighter at the top. This one's lighter in the middle. This one's lighter just at the top. This one's lighter in that centre. Should we make this one lighter at the bottom? Which isn't the way I would naturally colour it, but it would be different, wouldn't it? So let's do that. I'm just sharpening it. So let's start with our darkest layer here at the top. This is a bit, it's really different for me. And now I'm starting to fade it. So to fade it, I just put down less layers. Sometimes I do slightly lift my pencil from the page so that I'm not pushing as hard, if you know what I mean. You can, if you use the pencil on its side, you tend to get a little bit less colour as well compared to if you push down that way. I'm just fading down like that. I'm just going to intensify that bit a little bit by layering it over. There we go. Now a lighter blue to that. Yeah, the light, oh, the cerulean, a light blue. Yeah, it's quite tricky with these. There's quite different shades of blue that aren't necessarily going to fade into each other, if you know what I mean. But this is the light blue. We use this one. So like the others, I'm not going right to the top. I'm starting a little way down, going over the top here quite intensely, and then I shall use less as I go down by pressing a little bit lighter and doing less layers, as I explained before. It's easier to see on the initial layer because I'm covering up something that's here already. You can't really see what I'm doing, but here we're just trying to fade it down. There we go. And we'll get a light blue. There's a lighter, the cerulean blue looks a bit lighter to me. So I'm just going to give that a sharpen. There we go. I don't know why I've started there, but I have. I'm trying to press really lightly at the moment because I'm doing my lightest bit. But what I should have done is started about here. Now it's quite fiddly when you're colouring around these circular bits. I find that can be quite tricky, but I'm sure you can manage. Now here I want a bit darker there and there, but I just need to layer up this blue. I don't really need to go in for my other blues. There we go. So we've got a different gradient going from down to the bottom, but I think it still works. The only thing is, when you're going from bottom to top or side to side, it helps to emphasize the shape of the mushroom. With this, we haven't got any emphasis. There's no dark on the side, which doesn't make it look as rounded. So what you could do if you want to is get a grey and put some shadow along the edges just to make it look more rounded. And I'll show you how to do that. Now, because we're using a blue, I think the blue-grey might be the best idea for this bit. I'm going to sharpen it. I'm suddenly feeling very cold. It's very strange. I haven't got my slippers on at the moment. I came back, I was really quite warm. So I'm going to put quite a thick layer down the edge here and then just fade it in. I'm going to try and complete this side so you can compare them. I don't know. I think it makes a little bit of a difference, but it might just be because I know what I'm trying to achieve. Do you know what I mean? There we go. Now I'm going to use this blue-grey for the base as well, because I think it's quite a nice idea. I'm going to show you a different way of doing this gills. I'm going to go over the black lines first. I'm still using the blue-grey, like that. Then I'm going to just draw in more. Need it to be quite sharp. Sorry, it's concentrating. Whoop. There we go. So it just looks like we've got lots of little gills in there, hopefully. Just a little bit of a different way to do it. Skirt, very pale. I've got my pencil on my side again, really gentle colour. And I think I'm going to emphasise the shape on this one. So now I'm putting down more colour. And you can see I'm just trying to make those little dips a bit more emphasised. It just gives a bit more shape to our skirt. I do this one in the same way every time. Darker on the edge, light towards the middle. It just makes sense to me to do it that way, like that. And our door, I'm going to choose one of the blues. I don't think I'll go for the really dark blue. I think I'll go for the light blue, which was the middle blue. No, I won't. We did that before. Let's go for the cerulean blue, which is the palest one. Do something different. Now I know I haven't done those spots, have I? We could leave them white. That would give you a different look. I think I'll do that, because I'm just going around the edge. As I say, I'm reluctant often to leave them white because it looks like I haven't done anything. Now I'm tempted to white them out, but because these overlap the edges, if I white off that black, it will look like someone's taken a bite out of them. So I'm going to just leave them. I'm going to leave them completely white like that. Okay. Grass. What I feel is it gives you a different look, and you can look at them and you can think, which ones do I like, which do I dislike? Can I take a bit of this one that I like and a bit of this one that I like and mix it up? Do you see what I mean? The idea was to just give you a few different looks. Now, whoops, we've got this little bit of grass. There's only a tad. We can do it all the way to the bottom of the page, or we can just do a little tiny row. I'm just going to do a little tiny row. Now we have a grass green in this set, so it seems silly not to use it to me. So that's what I'm going to use. Here it is. But I want it a bit sharper than that, although I'm going to start with it blunt, and I'm just going to do a really light layer, and actually it might be enough. No, it won't be. But I'm just actually going to do it like this. So I'm going in an across direction, which isn't how grass grows. But I'm just filling in like that sort of little bit that I'm going to use for my grass. Now I'm going to sharpen it. And I'm actually going to draw in bits of grass. Now obviously Gabi has drawn in all sorts of tufts for us. And we can just put our own in as well underneath like this. Hopefully you can see. But I'm going to stop mine at the mushroom because she's drawn in where she wants the tufts to be. And it looks a bit more grassy. Now if you've got a page with lots of grass, you can do this. Now notice what I'm doing. I'm not putting them all in one direction, so they're not all sticking up. And if you notice what Gabi's done, she's got some in this way, some in this way, some straight, and it looks more natural. You know, grass doesn't all grow just straight up in the air. So it gives us a bit of an interest, a texture, you know. And I'm still using the same colour, but because it was blunt and I did it quickly and just one layer, then that bit underneath is just helping us as a sort of base coat without being so thick we can't put the grass on top. Because if you did do it too thick by mistake, you could always use a darker sorry, I just got distracted by my microphone. I'm sure it flashed, but I don't think it did. Imagined it. You could do a darker green on top, is what I'm trying to say. If your light green is too dark, just grab a darker green. In this set you've got plenty. You could use, I would probably use the green. It's a bit darker. There we go. Now we could use some green in this as well, use a different shade, but what I'm going to do is put some little flowers in our grass. Now we could do that with, we could do all sorts of flowered shapes and colours depending on what gel pens you have, or pencils. Now pencils is going to be quite hard to show up, but I think I'm going to have a go with pencils. And I'm thinking, what colours will we have in the grass? Well, then you'd have daisies, which are white. Can't do a white pencil. Buttercups, which are yellow. They wouldn't really show up either. So I'm thinking maybe I will just do some red flowers. We haven't got a lot of red going on here. Let's grab, is that the carmine? No, geranium red. Grab our geranium red. We'll sharpen it. Now I don't know what red flowers will be going in grass, but it doesn't really matter. So you can either do a circle, or I'm going to do a little cross. Oops, like that. Because I think it looks more like petals. You could do one that way. In fact, I might do a little star so it looks a bit more like a flower. And because I'm not very good at drawing, I can manage that, you know, do them regularly spaced. And just looks a bit pretty. And you can do another colour as well if you want. You can do this with a pen. If you've got a fine liner, you can do it easily. I don't. So I think I'm going to use the this colour, which is the ultramarine, to do some as well. Just so they're not all the same. And you don't have to do these the same shape. I think I'm going to do these as circles. Now I'm going to try not to make them too regular, as it's going to look a bit contrived. And it just adds, I don't know, makes it look a bit more imaginative. But you don't have to, you know, if you just want to keep it as grass, keep it as grass. I just think it's like a little meadow, wildflower meadow now. There we go. Are they square? I don't know. I think that might be straight. Hard to tell. Anyway, I am just going to do one more job and then finish. I'm going to use my black and sharpen it. And what I want to do is just put in one bit of shadow here. Do you see where this one is overlapping? Put in a little bit of black around there. Hopefully it brings it forward a little bit. We could do actually a bit of shadow down there. Where's my brush? There we go. Now you could put in more shadow if you wanted, such as under here, around here, under these, under here, but I've done bits of shadow for you already. I don't want to go too much. I'm quite happy with how it looks myself. I still do think these look like they're uncoloured. I could potentially use my sand, which is like a very light cream colour. I think an ivory would be better. Don't have that, you know, so it's more of a cold white-ish colour. But anyway, I am going to leave it because the idea is just to show you different techniques and ideas. So I hope that was useful. I think even though they're all done in different ways, they do work as a little group, which is rather nice. And it's fun to do something in this book. and the next page in this book, which is lovely. It's a lovely book. Actually, I'm colouring a page in Mini Mania at the moment next door, so it's nice to do a bit more Gabi Wolf. They're so cute, aren't they? Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope that was useful. I hope you have a really super day, and happy colouring.